On January 20th, Senator Joyce visited us to discuss his ethical travails. Today, the IRS and FBI visited his law office for the same reason. Last month, the Boston Globe's Andrea Estes wrote this story about Joyce getting free laundry services for his family and himself for about a decade, which was just the latest in a series of stories about complaints that led to state ethics and campaign finance investigations. Right after that dry cleaning story ran, we had Governor Charlie Baker on Boston Public Radio and asked him to weigh in. Here's what he had to say.
In a situation like this, where you have a private citizen speaking so forthrightly about a continuing pattern with respect to this type of activity, I think this is the sort of thing the Ethics Commission should take a really hard look at. There's enough there to justify a review, absolutely.
And when the senator joined us here, I asked him if he agreed with the governor that either the Ethics Commission or some appropriate body should investigate.
I'm sure they'll take a look at it.
And you're okay with that?
Absolutely.
We did invite Senator Joyce back today. His office sent a statement from his attorney, which reads, "It's unfortunate recent stories in the media appear to have sparked an investigation. Senator Joyce has been cooperating with each inquiry that has taken place to date resulting from those stories and believes that he has done absolutely nothing wrong." Meanwhile, the state GOP is calling for Joyce to resign. When he was here, Frank, he was brandishing an ethics committee letter saying no further investigation into thousands of dollars of discounted sunglasses he bought for his colleagues, and Office Campaign and Political Finance settled for several $1,000 this graduation party for his kid where he had used campaign funds. What is today about? Do we know for a fact it's about the dry cleaning, or is it about him representing clients who he then lobbied for? What's it about?
We don't know, but we can pretty well surmise. And, you know, Ethics Commission, the OCPF, the campaign finance regulators, that, you know, that's nothing. When the IRS and the FBI show up at the office, at your law office, take out all these things, there is something very serious going on, and he's got to really have a problem here. And it could very well be the dry cleaning. The IRS being involved would indicate there was something about the dry cleaning, taking gratuities and not declaring them on his tax records. It also could do with his representing an insurance company and taking in and going into talking to regulators, state regulators about it.
You know, one of the things that in the state Senate president's office said we're concerned, we're going to wait the results of the investigation. I think it was an editorial from your page there, Dante, that basically said part of the problem, that you didn't use these words, is the legislature itself. The ethics laws are so weak in this state. We're one of a minority of states, for example, where a lawyer legislators did not even need to disclose who his clients are. So he wasn't violating anything when apparently, in terms of disclosure, when he was either lobbying a public agency for one client, filing legislation apparently for another. So the state is partly to blame for this mess, are they not?
I think there is a climate in Massachusetts, and it contrasts with other states where lawmakers, public officials are, I don't know that I want to say that they feel entitled to a certain amount of maneuvering room on ethical issues, but certainly have taken it. What I think is interesting about this case, some of the recent political corruption prosecutions, including the O'Brien prosecution at the probation department, the Tim Cahill prosecution, these have been in areas that people thought were kind of gray legal areas, and there was a lot of criticism from people on Beacon Hill and outside of those prosecutions because it was kind of fuzzy. If this ends up being an IRS case, that there is really, you know, something that's a little more cut and dried, it would be a little bit more unusual.
The IRS case being that he received thousands of dollars of free services. He said, in fairness to him, that he gave free legal services in return, but we shall see. You know, every time a story like this leads to a potential prosecution, this is because of the Globe's work. Sal DeMacy's downfall because of the Globe's work. The probation department, O'Brien, because of the Globe. I say to myself after reading those stories, so are these aberrations or are these symptomatic of corruption in this government and there just aren't enough resources in the Globe and the media to pursue these other things? What's the answer, Frank? You've been there a long time.
I think it's just great journalism. Particularly, you mentioned some of these stories. Andrea Estes is a superb
Sal DeMacy, this one, yeah.
Sal DeMacy, you don't want her on your case, you know. And if you're a politician, and the Globe is, and it's journalism that it's practicing. I don't think there's that much aura of corruption oozing out of the State House.
How do you know?
I've been there long enough to know that 30 years ago, yes, you could feel it. FBI was surrounding the building.
Three felonious speakers in a row.
Yeah, that goes back to the 90s. But I don't think it is as, you know, not every leader, every political state representative is as corrupt as everybody thinks they are. I think it's also, I think it's a tribute to the Boston Globe's, you know, constantly uncovering those who do violate the law.
I agree with that, and I hope you're right about the other.
You
what's
saw
your-
Spotlight, and I hope you appreciated that.
It was fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, is this an aberration, or is this potentially run deeper?
I suspect it does run deeper. One observation, and I used to work in Louisiana, which is not exactly an ethical, you know, paradise. I do think it's unusual that public officials in Massachusetts and people around state government seem to be willing to defend a level of you know, a level of sort of borderline behavior in a way that I think even people in Louisiana would not do. It's something that people are willing to accept as part of the way politics gets done, and I don't necessarily think that's true in other states.
Louisiana, their governors go to jail. I mean, these are our legislative leaders. So I don't know. I don't know how to compare it to other states. I'm just saying I don't think there was no great scandal in the Dukakis administration, the Romney administration, Cellucci administration.
But to say there was no
back.
scandal, but there were 3 speakers in a row who committed felonies is, you know, it's sort of an odd statement, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think the most serious was Sal DeMasi, and that was serious. I think Charlie Flaherty was chased around for
felony.
You know, well, an IRS.
Tom Finneran, felony.
No, it was he didn't declare certain gratuities on his income tax. They got him on that, and Finneran, he lied under oath. Is that corruption?
Felony.
You know, it's a felony, but was it corruption? Political corruption?
Well,
no.
By what he did, according to the judges in that case, he disenfranchised people of color in terms of a redistricting.
That's not what he was charged with. He was charged with denying that he had anything to do with a certain process.
A redistricting
in
plan.
a civil case, not involving his job as Speaker.
Can we get back to this just for 1 second, if we can? What's going to happen to Joyce? Is he forced out? I mean, formally they can't. Does the leadership say, you got to go, Senator Joyce? We don't want the whole Democratic Party in the state Senate tarred by this thing. What happens?
I think it depends a lot on what his colleagues think of him. I would defer to Frank on what the opinion around the State House is about him. But it would be ironic if somebody who is less popular gets forced out for, you know, for something, whereas other people who have a little bit more of a political base stick around longer.
Can we end with that? What do his colleagues think about him?
He's never been popular, and he's particularly getting more and more isolated. If he has a friend or two, I don't know about it. And I know the Senate leadership would very much like to see him go. But I don't think you're going to see him. He's under fire now. You don't resign your office. It's a bargaining chip at some point, and he'll hang in there as a very unpopular figure.
Dante Ramos, it's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Frank, it's been far too long. Nice
It
to
is.
see you.
It's really
You're going
good
to
to
shake my
see you.
hand now.
No, do I have to?
You have to, yes. Nice to see you.